Next news. Breaking news.
Breaking tonight, the Centers for Disease Control delivers the word America has been waiting to hear. There are 0 confirmed cases of Hantavirus inside the United States. 41 people are being monitored after that cruise ship incident, yet officials say the risk stays low. One American who initially tested positive has already been released from isolation after clearing follow-up tests. This comes as 18 U.S. passengers remain under federal quarantine. The Trump administration is handling the situation with precision and calm. So why is the public being told to stay alert when every early indicator points to containment holding firm? See, every American household feels this directly. Families watched loved ones return from international travel and now face extended monitoring that echoes past overreactions. Communities wonder whether schools, workplaces, and travel plans will face sudden restrictions. Now, politically, the stakes couldn't be higher. After years of eroded trust, any hint of overreach risks new panic, while underplaying the threat invites criticism. The Trump administration refuses both extremes. Instead, it delivers a controlled response that protects public health without shutting down daily life. This balanced approach protects jobs, keeps markets stable, and restores confidence that government can act without hysteria. The contrast with the previous era is impossible to ignore. And while health officials focus on containment at home, American companies are racing to secure the critical minerals that keep our nation strong. And one of those companies is SAGA Metals. They're trading in the United States as SAGMF and in Canada as SAGA. They're back in the spotlight much sooner than expected. In less than 6 months, this company has moved at a pace rarely seen in the critical mineral space. In less than 48 hours ago, they announced a 100% drill success rate across all 57 holes at its radar project. And yet, they did it ahead of schedule. That alone would be a major news headline, but it's only part of the story. SAGA also added $10 million to its treasury through a strategic financing round that strengthens its ability to advance domestic supply chains that are vital for national security. And these metals, they power defense technologies and clean energy infrastructure. Watch for the in-depth interview on this topic on Sunday. And check the link in the description for the full details on how SAGA is delivering results for American interests. That kind of domestic strength matters as we return to this unfolding health story. Now the picture sharpens even further. Health officials in Spain and Italy report 17 additional negatives, yet one French patient remains critically ill on a ventilator. Travel blogger Jake Rosmarin, one of the quarantined Americans, is sharing daily updates from his Nebraska room. All signs still point to a tightly contained event rather than any broad community spread. You can rest easy. There are no confirmed cases of Hantavirus in the United States.
Breaking moments ago, the Centers for Disease Control says there are no hantavirus cases currently in the United States. 41 people in the U.S. are being monitored, according to the CDC, and the agency says the risk remains low in the aftermath of an outbreak on a cruise ship at Standard. Good news, no active cases currently in the United States.
Hallelujah. All right.
That's good news, indeed. CDC confirming 0 active cases at home. ABC is tracking the first American passenger cleared after his initial positive test. The first and only American to initially test positive from the Hantavirus hit cruise ship has been cleared to leave isolation in Nebraska after testing negative.
This morning, as the race to contain the hantavirus intensifies, the CDC now urging those in quarantine at the University of Nebraska Medical Center to remain the full 42 days. As we are now learning more about the first and only American to initially test positive from the cruise ship. Dr. Stephen Kornfeld was a passenger on board the MV Hondias, stepping up to serve as the ship's doctor after the original one contracted the virus. Kornfeld saying he felt like he was coming down with the flu, one of his samples taken on the cruise ship, later testing positive for hantavirus.
This is a very secure facility, so if I am to get sick and spill virus, there's no way that virus is getting out of this building.
Overnight, his most recent PCR test coming back negative. He's now out of the biocontainment unit. He's one of 16 Americans being evaluated in Omaha. Jake Rosmarin among them too, documenting the quarantine process.
Here's my thermometer. I'll turn it on. I have to put on my mask so I can show the nurses that my temperature is all good. Hi. No symptoms, 98.6.
The CDC saying more than 100 officials are working around the clock on this outbreak, with nearly a dozen states monitoring at least 18 people.
Worldwide, there are 10 cases, all of them passengers on that ship, including a woman from France. She is in the intensive care unit in Paris, being treated by an artificial lung.
So we have that. Passenger walking free from isolation, yet NBC shows all 18 passengers remain locked in federal quarantine. All 18 passengers who were on the MV Hondias cruise ship remain in federal quarantine as doctors and CDC figure out when they can safely go home. So NBC keeping the focus on Americans stuck in Omaha, while PBS reports Europe is logging fresh negatives and one French patient fighting for her life. This is from PBS. Health officials in Spain and Italy say at least 17 people testing negative for the possible hantavirus infection. Current number of cases stemming from the cruise ship outbreak stands at 11, with 9 confirmed. Meanwhile, European health officials say a French patient is critically ill, breathing with the help of an artificial lung. They also say the outbreak likely started with a single animal-to-human transmission, as is typical for such infections. The U.S. travel blogger Jake Rosmarin gave the world a glimpse of life in quarantine, one of the 18 Americans who were brought back home. He is asymptomatic. He expects to spend more than 40 days in quarantine as a safety measure. Here's more on that.
Officials in Spain and Italy say at least 17 people have tested negative for possible hantavirus infection. That means the current number of cases stemming from a cruise ship outbreak stands at 11, with 9 confirmed. Meantime, European health officials say a French patient is critically ill and is breathing with the help of an artificial lung. They also say the outbreak likely started with a single animal-to-human transmission, as is typical for such infections. Here in the U.S.,
Good morning, everyone. It is my second day here at the National Quarantine Unit in Omaha, Nebraska, and I just wanted to give you a little tour of my room.
travel blogger Jake Rosmarin gave the world a glimpse of life in his quarantine. He's one of 18 Americans who were brought back home. He's asymptomatic, but expects to spend more than 40 days in quarantine to be safe.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS.
So we have that from PBS. European officials downplaying the spread, but the Wall Street Journal reveals Trump health officials threading the needle to contain the threat without repeating old mistakes. Wall Street Journal writes the Trump administration's top health officials walking a tightrope on hantavirus, trying to avoid public panic and a repeat of what they view as pandemic-era missteps while escalating the federal response of the threat. CDC walking tightrope with its response to the hantavirus, so Trump's team is keeping the response measured and tight, even as Lena Wen revives talk of possible asymptomatic spread. COVID fan favorite Lena Wen is back talking about what else but possible asymptomatic hantavirus spread. Oh boy. Of course, she's on CNN.
Well, we
Remember
need
her?
to see how many more cases are going to come. And there may well be more cases that arise because now these are individuals who are being tested. They are in facilities where they can get that treatment. And also we know the incubation period is long. The time between exposure and symptoms can be as long as 8 weeks. And so people can start testing positive. The question then becomes, are we going to see cases of asymptomatic transmission? Right now, we believe that transmission only is occurring when people are symptomatic. So we do not believe that there's asymptomatic transmission. If there is, that would change things. Also, it might change things too if we see cases in people who do not have a direct connection with our cruise ship. For example, if there are passengers on board the flights, but who are not on the cruise ships, or family members, if they start testing positive. None of that has happened, but I think that requires careful monitoring and again underscores why that public health response is so important.
So CNN, Lena Wen, pushing the worst case monitoring yet. GBX Press reports the World Health Organization confirming 149 new cases. The mortality rate for the virus is 40%. Mortality rate for COVID did not exceed 1%. This is extremely serious for the markets. Here is the World Health Organization.
Given the incubation period of the Andes virus, which can be up to 6 weeks, it's possible that more cases may be reported. While this is a serious incident, WHO assesses the public health risk as low. It also shows why the international health regulations exist and how they work. WHO is working with multiple governments and partners on the response under those regulations. Our priorities are to ensure the affected patients receive care, that the remaining passengers on the ship are kept safe and treated with dignity, and to prevent any further spread of the virus.
So that is the World Health Organization with their update. Now here is the truth that the establishment fears you'll notice. The Trump administration's executing a textbook America First strategy. Officials refuse to repeat pandemic-era mistakes that fueled fear and division. They are containing the threat with precision while rejecting any push towards new lockdowns or endless mandates. No evidence supports widespread asymptomatic transmission. The virus remains tied to one specific cruise ship exposure, and that is why markets stay steady and families can rest easier. The contrast with past administrations couldn't be clearer. So tonight, the facts are straightforward. Containment is holding. The Trump administration is earning trust by delivering results without panic. The American people deserve nothing less. So share this report with every friend who is still worried about another wave of fear. And drop a comment below and answer this yes or no question. Do you believe the CDC is being transparent right now? And join the thousands of patriots who've already texted the words raw feed to that secret number on the screen right there, 844-840-4963. They're bypassing the algorithm. They're getting direct updates straight to their phone from me when it matters most. Make sure you check out the new Next News merch at the shelf below this video. America 250 is here, friends. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and keep fighting for the truth.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.